and gentlemen, my friends, fellow humans, compatriots from across the planet, I am Nikhil Parekh. In this video, I shall be talking about my book titled You Die, I Die Love Poems Part 5, as well as giving you a recitation of different poems from this book of mine. So, let me commence with an introduction to this book of mine. About the poetry book. This book, which has 50 differently titled poems, is actually part 5 of the book titled You Die, I Die Love Poems, 1600 pages. Poems symbolizing the immortality of love and at times its fickleness. Parekh takes the reader through a paradise naturally embellished with the ingredients of eternal romance and its sporadic failures. As they say, life and death are two sides of the coin. Similarly, with every true anecdote of love, there also comes fretful divorce, a thing which has been most sensitively described throughout this great collection of poems for the heart. Written and dipped in each ingredient of his passionate blood, Parekh comes out with startling revelations about the truest of love stories and their failures. Each verse has been delicately intertwined with the boundless aspects of relationships, romance, cheating, betrayal, and goes on to prove that immortal love towers over every shattered heart. A start to finish with some of the most heart-rendering love poems ever. This makes a great collection for every true lover breathing and desiring to be loved on earth and beyond. This collection of poems aims at perpetually uniting every heart on this universe in the spirit of immortal love and friendship. Because these are the two quintessential ingredients to lead life till its last breath. Irrespective of whatever color, faith, or religion, it is only the rainbow of love which can transform the costliest monsters and perpetrators of humanity into peaceful lovers. Therefore, this book inexhaustibly endeavors to speak and preach the language of love even after its last embossed alphabet. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I shall be giving you a recitation of 4 different poems from this book of mine. These poems are titled as In Order to Sign the Bond of Love. The cavity was purely mine, fiery, passionate, and unfastening the buttons of her heart. Of course, at any juncture of victoriously mesmerizing existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a recitation of my poem titled In Order to Sign the Bond of Love. In order to sign the bombastic checkbook, I used an ink resembling pure sapphire pearls. In order to sign the hotel guest book, I used an ink suckled from freshly tantalizing mountain mud. In order to sign the dreaded terrorist's death sentence, I used an ink extracted from venomous reptile skins. In order to sign the blissful peace treaty between neighboring continents, I used an ink extracted from poignantly delectable raspberry. In order to sign my best friend's palm, I used an ink withdrawn from astoundingly tangy lemon. In order to sign on the innocuous student's annual examination paper, I used an ink extracted from the austerely scarlet rose. In order to sign in the official company register, I used an ink of nimble light blue. In order to sign on the ragged village wall, I used an ink suckled from indigenous cow dung. In order to sign on the baby's cheeks, I used an ink of wholesomely impeccable and sacrosanct cow's milk. I used an ink of wholesomely impeccable and sacrosanct cow milk. In order to sign on the dead man's will, I used an ink extracted from the perpetually silent and ghoulish owl. In order to sign on the ingeniously written scientist's thesis, I used an ink of contemporary silver and slippery mercury. In order to sign on the celestially embossed marriage invitation, I used an ink extricated from the fabulously gorgeous pink lotus. In order to sign on my salary increment application, I used an ink of intractably adhering black paint. In order to sign on the overwhelmingly confidential presidential document, I used an ink of glittering emerald green. Evacuated from the fossils loitering in tandem on the century-old ocean bed. Evacuated from the fossils loitering in tandem on the century-old ocean bed. In order to sign the artist's majestic painting, I used an ink extracted from royally curled oligarchic peacock quills. In order to sign the horrendously corrupt politician's ordeal, I used an ink of exorbitantly cheap and stinking gutter water. In order to sign the aristocratically woven recommendation letter, I used an ink imprisoned in the heart of the marvelously radiating oyster. In order to sign the gardener's spending bills, I used an ink extracted from ravishingly fresh green grass. In order to sign the feeble patient's crisp hospital vouchers, I used an ink of the most stringent antiseptic. In order to sign the film star's swanky autobiography, I used an ink resembling glamorous diamonds sparkling tenaciously in the garish showroom. In order to sign the birth certificate of the immaculate tide orphan for securing admission in playtime nursery, I used an ink extracted from the vividly vivacious cluster of red cherry. In order to sign the magician's insurmountably enigmatic visiting card, I used an ink extracted from mystical blueberry herb. And in order to sign the bond of love, the pact of immortal romance between me and my beloved, I used an ink of my very own and profusely passionate crimson blood. And in order to sign the bond of love, the pact of immortal romance between me and my beloved, I used an ink of my very own and profusely passionate crimson blood. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled "The Cavity Was Purely Mine." So here is a recitation of my poem. Each building had boundless floors, but for me, the best floor was the floor on which he resided. Danced in tireless exuberance and untamed passion every unfalling hour. Each building had boundless floors, but for me the best floor was the floor on which he resided, danced in tireless exuberance and untamed passion every unfalling hour. Each city had boundless roads, but for me the best road was the one on which he trespassed, purifying the soil on which he tread with her sacrosanct footsteps. Each garden had boundless roses, but for me the best rose was the one she caressed, left her exotic perfume lingering mystically upon its enchanting persona. Each tree had boundless branches, but for me the best branch was the one on which he sat, imparting it her compassionate warmth and stupendously charismatic grace. Each dictionary had boundless words, but for me the best word was the one she uttered, explicitly pronounced it with majestic authority. Each cloud in the cosmos showered boundless droplets of rain, but for me the best droplet was the one that drenched her completely, made her look even more voluptuous in the creamy shine of the moonlit night. Each kite had boundless strings, but for me the best string was the one which he adroitly pulled, fomenting the canvas to escalate with handsome supremacy in the boisterous packet of fervent air. Each day had boundless minutes, but for me the best minute was the one in which he smiled, profoundly illuminated the abysmally dreary atmosphere with the rhapsody circulating in her countenance. Each light had boundless rays, but for me the best ray was the one which fell on her gorgeously hazel eyes, providing my miserably defeated body with the inevitable rejuvenation and tenacity it badly wanted. Each mountain had boundless slopes, but for me the best slope was the one on which he ebulliently wandered, metamorphosing its barren demeanor into one with fecund and bountiful fertility. Each bank had boundless notes, but for me the best note was the one which he hoisted, granting it the magical prowess of proliferating at electric speeds on its very own. Each river had boundless streams, but for me the best stream was the one in which he bathed, sending uncontrollable shivers down my spine when I sighted her tantalizingly ravishing hair. Each cactus had boundless thorns, but for me the best thorn was the one she inadvertently pricked, as I got an infinitesimally minuscule chance, the supreme privilege of bonding with her droplet of poignantly crimson blood. Each train had boundless windows, But for me, the best window was the one in which she sighted her royal reflection, gave a new definition to beauty as she uninhibitedly admired the fabulously fleeting scenery. Each hand had boundless lines, but for me, the best line was the one she traced. Deciphered its deeply enigmatic meaning. The bearing it would have on future life. Each rainbow had boundless shades, but for me the best shade was the one which she adored, bounced with unprecedented jubilation as it pilfered in through her pellucid bedroom glass. Each school had boundless children, but for me the best child was the one she lifted in her egalitarian arms, deluging its innocuous ears with tales of mystical mankind. Each skin had boundless hair, but for me the best hair was the one she ardently stroked, triggering a catharsis of fiery emotions to naturally emit out. Each showroom had boundless clothes, but for me the best fabric was the one she wore. Each showroom had boundless clothes, but for me the best fabric was the one she wore on her superlatively impeccable body. The one which diffused her mesmerizing fragrance for centuries unsurpassable. And each heart had boundless cavities, but for me the best cavity was the one which immortally incarcerated her love. And as a matter of fact, I was irrefutably proud to state that in this case, the cavity belonged only to me. The cavity was purely mine. And each heart had boundless cavities, but for me the best cavity was the one which immortally incarcerated her love. And as a matter of fact, I was irrefutably proud to state that in this case, the cavity belonged only to me. The cavity was purely mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Fiery Passionate. So here it is, a recitation of my poem titled Fiery Passionate by me. The color of the moon was pure white, with its pearly rays illuminating the profoundly ghastly night. The color of the sky was crystalline blue, with its conglomerate of silken clouds playing hide and seek with the sunlight. With its conglomerate of silken clouds playing hide and seek with the sunlight. The color of the lips was rosy pink. The color of the lips was rosy pink, with their voluptuous periphery making even the most diabolical of entities succumb to their knees. The color of the night was gruesome black, with its enchantment casting a mystical spell on all animate and inanimate hovering around. The color of gold was glittering yellow, and its glow besieging every eye that sighted it with an immortal longing for impregnable supremacy. The color of the rainbow was vivaciously vivid, with the world staring at it in unfathomable fascination. The color of the deserts was timidly brown, with its colossal expanse of sands, absorbing unsuspecting travelers in its slippery swirl. The color of hair was as dark as the airy tunnel, with its boundless fibers swishing in waves of enigmatic euphoria. The color of farm chili was parrot green, with its piquant spice fomenting tears to ooze at random from the eyes. The color of blood was handsomely scarlet, with its stains irrefutably refraining to erase once applied. The color of the ocean was royally sapphire, with its ravishing waves striking gleefully against the jagged chain of glistening rocks. The color of the infant was amicably pearly, with its incessant cries making it the unconquerable darling of all who passed by. The color of the savage convict was steel grey, with his eyes burning fire and profuse vindication at being jailed for long years. The color of soil was majestically bronze, with its stupendous layers of fertility blossoming into robust crop, ensuring that mankind never dwindled, never died. The color of the mother was sacredly frosty, sequestering her baby from the most inconspicuous of evil lurking about in this world. The color of the fish was delectably silver, gliding its way tantalizingly through the deep expanse of obscure waters. The color of ice was stringently transparent, with its astounding prowess to cool, providing reprieve to millions of adventurers in scorching heat. The color of water was austerely plain, with its sparkling globules pacifying the thirst of fathomless beings every unleashing second of the day. The color of fire was incredulously golden, with its crackling flames imparting unsurpassable warmth to every human shivering on the streets in a acerbic winter. The color of the Creator. The color of the Creator was a blend of all colors existing on this earth. The color of the Creator was a blend of all colors existing on this earth. The most magnificent shade of them all. Silencing everyone in his supremely omnipotent power and invincible grace. Silencing everyone with his supremely omnipotent power and invincible grace. And the color of love was fiery passionate, imprisoning every breathing organism in the flame of its agony, the cloud of its incomprehensible desire. And the color of love was fiery passionate, imprisoning every breathing organism in the flame of its agony, the cloud of its incomprehensible desire. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll now be giving you a recitation of my poem titled Unfastening the Buttons of Her Heart. So here is a recitation of this poem of mine from this book. When I unfastened the buttons of the sky, there came cloud bursts of rain turbulently pelting down on the parched ground. When I unfastened the buttons of the soil, All that lay there was fecund chunks of mud, blended with ravishing, warm and mystical light. When I unfastened the buttons of the towering castle, there unfolded a grandiloquent extravaganza before my eyes. Oligarchic tapestry and an insurmountably royal ambience was all that touched my innermost senses. When I unfastened the button of the voluptuously brown cola, there was a fountain of tangy spray that blasted out to impart incomprehensible rejuvenation to my dreary soul. When I unfastened the button of the gargantuan grandfather clock, the watch abruptly stopped to function. And time seemed to come to a virtual standstill, although it was well past dawn. When I unfastened the buttons of the majestically descending parachute, there lay nothing but a flurry of broken bones on the ground. As I hurtled towards the obdurate soil at a speed faster than that of white light. When I unfastened the buttons of the ocean, there was an exquisite treasury of coral reef and vivaciously slithering shark that left me in spells of dumbfounded consternation. When I unfastened the buttons of the television, a myriad of enthusing tunes and vibrantly tantalizing pictures left me agglutinated to the silver screen. For hours unprecedented. When I unfastened the buttons of the ancient dungeon, I found myself suddenly encompassed by a festoon of glittering gold and biscuits of shimmering silver. As I collided with an uncanny thud just inches beside the sacrosanct serpent. Guarding them with its fangs. When I unfastened the buttons of the delectable dwelling, my vision became all the more sacred as I sighted my unsurpassably cherished mother. When I unfastened the buttons of the delectable dwelling, my vision became all the more sacred as I sighted my unsurpassably cherished mother. When I unfastened the buttons of rubicund skin, poignant droplets of blood oozed out in torrents of rampant frenzy. When I unfastened the buttons of rubicund skin, poignant droplets of blood oozed out in torrents of rampant frenzy. When I unfastened the buttons of the colossal ship, the boat eventually lost its synchronized balance, sank to the rock bottom of the ocean like a bullet fired from the sky. When I unfastened the buttons of the cloistered bedroom window, a stringent beam of dazzling sunshine crept inside in splendid unison. Shrugging off all the languid exhaustion that had uselessly circumvented my soul. When I unfastened the buttons of the sleeping lotus, there wafted a stupendously seductive odor There wafted a stupendously seductive odor of rose in the air, deluging my morbid life with tons of excitement and enthralling happiness. When I unfastened the buttons of the slippery web, a pot-bellied black spider brusquely fell on my robust palms, sending me into waves of ecstatic rhapsody. When I unfastened the buttons of the gorgeous valley, a thunderously loud echo reverberated incessantly, piercing the soft carpet of wind to clash like violent sparks into the hills. When I unfastened the buttons of my office shirt, I was left freezing on the snow-clad streets, audaciously portraying my shriveled muscle like a deplorable skeleton pole. When I unfastened the buttons of painstakingly creeping time, I astoundingly found myself perched near my grave, when in fact I hadn't even matured past the threshold of impetuous youth. But the best happened when I unfastened the buttons of her heart. For all that I found there was only my picture, an immortal love and craving for me, passionately pulsating for many more centuries to blissfully unfold. But the best happened when I unfastened the buttons of her heart. For all that I found there was only my picture, an immortal love and craving for me, passionately pulsating for many more centuries to blissfully unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, fellow humans, my compatriots from across this earth, it truly was a victorious privilege for me to have given this poetry recitation to your glorious countenance. At any juncture of mesmerizing existence, you can of course purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. From the innermost corridor of my soul, I wanted to thank you for having listened to me with such a passionately innocuous intent. Thank you for listening to me.